All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. Welcome. I'm just going to share the links and the videos. Welcome. I can see those of you joining on Instagram. You're welcome. Welcome, everyone. Uh, just welcome and make yourself comfortable. How has your day been? I hope it's been lovely, like mine. So try and help us also share the video and all the platforms that you are allowed to. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be sharing to all our Facebook groups and to make sure everybody can see me and can hear me. So kindly give me a couple of minutes to do that. Um, you know what this. Okay, so welcome to ATP Live Monday. All right. As you're coming in, this program is brought to you by Ask Pediatricians Foundation. And what we do here is to promote the health of our children. And so feel free to ask any questions that you may have about the health of your children in the next 1 hour. However, just to let you know that beyond what we do at this time online, we are also available to answer any questions you may have beyond this 1 hour. So our Facebook groups are open for your question and answers from Mondays to Saturdays every week. And so feel free to always post your questions there. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any question, please start to drop your question. Please try and start by stating the age of the child and also tell us any relevant information that will make it easier for us to answer your questions. And so thank you so much for joining us. I think I'm almost done with all the sharing. I just want to make sure they are pinned and then we can start to answer your questions. All right, my name is Bemi Salaboyde. I'm a pediatrician, and it is my joy, it's my pleasure to be with you this evening for the next 1 hour. And I'm just going to answer any question that you may have about the health of your children. After I've gone offline at 7 p.m., feel free to still post your questions on our Facebook group. For children, our Facebook group that you should use is the Ask the Pediatricians Facebook group. And for the adult health issues, you can also post on our ATP family Facebook group. Okay. All right. So thank you. Just one more minute for me to do all my pinning, all my sharing, and I'll be with you. But please start to drop your questions now. And I can see many of you are joining us already. Thank you. Start to drop your questions. Start with the age of the child, very important. Then ask questions, specific questions. Unfortunately, I won't be able to respond to just information without any specific questions. All right. So thank you so much, Major Evans. Thank you for joining us all the way from Abuja. Thank you for loving me. I appreciate you. All right. I think I'm done with all the sharing and I can start to answer questions now. All right, let's go to the comment section. Okay, so just before we start, I have a question already. Um, just to remind those of you who are just joining, welcome to ATP Live Monday. This program is brought to you by Ask the Pediatricians Foundation, and we're committed to the health and the well-being of your children. And We do that through our online platforms by providing health information, education, answering your questions. And we also do community outreaches, school outreaches as well, to empower our children in the schools and to empower our communities on how to raise healthy children. So we welcome you to support us in any way you can by being part of our team or by also giving us financially towards this. And if you want to be partner, please get in touch with us and we'll tell you how you can. All right, so I'm going to just start to answer the question. The first question I have from Amoke or Abigail. Say, good day, ma. Is it good for 2 months old baby to pull 2 to 3 times a day? There's nothing wrong with it. It's not either good or a bad thing. It's something that is normal. So we use the word normal. So babies can pass stools up to 12 times a day, actually, and that is normal. And also the opposite can be true as well, that babies may not pass stool at all for days, up to even 2 weeks. Actually, for babies that are on exclusive breastfeeding, and that is also perfectly normal as well. So for children, for babies at this age, there's a range of variation in terms of their bowel movements. So we are not particularly worried about how often or whether they move the bowel or not. That is not the concern. The concern we are actually concerned about that's tautology, but what we're actually concerned about is the texture of the stool. Is it watery? Is it hard? That is what is more of a concern to us. So for your 2 months old baby, which we expect to be on breast milk only, the stool should be soft, yellowish, what look like a goosey soup, some part solid, some part liquid, which is fine. Baby can pass through almost every time they feed, and they can also not pass stool at all, even sometimes up to 2 weeks, and that is also normal. But the most important thing is that your child is well, is sucking well, and all that, and the stools are not watery like urine seeking completely into the diaper. So you don't need to worry about baby passing stool 2 to 3 times a day. That is perfectly normal. All right, let me check my Instagram, people, because Instagram posts tends to go away quickly. So please, if you're on Instagram, please ask your questions. We'll answer them. Thank you for joining us. Okay, let's continue. Facebook people did not come to play today. They have so many questions popping up already. Okay, happiness is asking, my baby is 2 years and 3 months. For 2 days, he has been coughing. Okay, which the doctor says an allergy, okay, and medication was given, okay, but he has been having running nose since then, okay. Um, if your child is having cough from allergy, running nose could also be part of the allergy. So I don't know whether you are worried about the running nose or whether you're worried that the symptoms are not better or whether the running nose should be of a concern to you. But I will assume that for allergy condition, you can have running nose, you can have cough, you can have red eyes, itching, and you can even have skin rashes. So they can all be parts of that spectrum. We call it atopy. So just watch it, use the medication your doctor has given to you, and then you can always go back to your doctor for follow-up. But more importantly, if you notice anything that tends to trigger the reaction, I don't know whether your doctor was able to tell you what's the triggers, what are those things that your child is allergic to in particular. If you know them, then you want to avoid them. So it could be food, it could be even dust in the hair, it could be grasses, it could be anything. In fact, it could be anything, even certain food like milk, like egg, like fish. So if you know what the child is allergic to, you have to avoid it completely and then use your anti-allergy medication. But most of the time they will resolve uh, over time, so you don't need to worry about it. All right. Let's move on to Chukuka Chiamaka. Good evening, doc. Please, what can I give to a 2-year-old for cough? The cough stopped a week ago, but started 2 days ago. Usually for cough, we don't give any medication for cough. Yes, I know that may be surprising to many of you, especially many of you are many of the parents we are used to buying cough syrup, but we as pediatricians we are not really a fan of cough syrup, and we don't even recommend it for children below the age of 2 anyway. What is more important for us is why is the child coughing. So, like the last question we answered with happiness, a doctor has told her that the cough is due to allergy. So, because the approach to the cough the cough itself is what we call a reflex. There's nothing wrong with cough. Cough is just telling us something. Cough is like an attempt by the body to clear something. So children cough because there's something either irritating the airway, or there's an infection going on in the airway. There's something going on that is manifesting with the cough. So what we need to do as pediatricians is to address what is actually going on in the cough, what is causing this cough, because that's what we need to address, not the cough itself per se. Because when we address the underlying cause of the cough, and then the cough itself, we follow suit and go away. So we're not really worried about the cough. We are really more interested in what is the cough telling us. So if your child is having recurrent cough, because this child had a cough that stopped a week ago and it's back again, then the question is, why is this child coughing? And then we want to know, what are the other symptoms? Is the child having fever with the cough? Is the child breathing fast with the cough? Because if a child is having fever with cough, breathing fast with the cough, that will suggest to us an infection. So maybe it's a pneumonia, it could be community acquired pneumonia, bronchopneumonia, it could be any of those chest infection going on. But if it's just cough without fever, you know, the child is just coughing, we want to check, is there, especially if it is recurrent, like in your case, this is the second time, is there anything irritating the airway? Is this child having an allergy, kind of response to something? And then we need to deal with it. Sometimes children can even cough from heart problem. So usually those children will be tired easily. They will have other symptoms, maybe swollen legs, and other things that may also suggest to us that this may be a cough from a heart problem. So there are many possible causes of cough. The cough is not the problem that we're trying to address. What we want to know is why. Why is this child coughing? Because if the child is coughing from infection, we will give antibiotics. If the child is coughing from allergy, we're not going to give antibiotics. We're going to give anti-allergy medication and tell you how to avoid the trigger. If the child has a heart problem, we're not going to give antibiotics. We're going to be dealing with what is causing the heart problem, what is causing the cough. So that is the most important thing. So if your child is having cough, coming and going 2 weeks, I would recommend that you have to see a doctor, and then they can help you. And when you see your doctor, don't just be satisfied with them giving you a drug. You must always ask, why is my child coughing? What can I do to make sure it doesn't happen again? That is the most important question that we must take home, apart from just the medication that we get from our doctors. All right. Chinaye Hasadu is say, can I ask question about pregnancy here? I'm not a gynecologist. I'm not an obstetrician, and I like to abide in my calling. The Bible says, "Let every man abide in his own calling." So I like to abide in my calling as a pediatrician. That's not to say I cannot give you general advice, but I'll only give you a generic advice most of the time if you are asking pregnancy question. Feel free to ask. There are some generic answers, but if it's something beyond my level as a pediatrician, definitely you have to go see um your obstetrician. So because those are the experts uh when it comes to pregnancy. So that's what I would say about that. All right, I got a question from Instagram. Hakim Data Yo. Thank you so much, Doc. My children have been having itch rashes for months now. Okay, so I'm always very, very, very cautious when parents tell me what rashes what rashes are, because sometimes we don't always get it correctly. And I know that parents tend to go for three things for as rashes. It's either it's itch rash, it's measles, or it's chickenpox. I mean, those are the three kind of rashes that exist in most parents' uh, dictionary. However, there are so many causes of rashes, especially when you go and start with, my child has been having itch rashes for months. That is really a red flag. Exact is already a red flag for me. Children don't have itch rashes for months. So children will have itch rashes during the period when there's heat. And because you know it's already itch rashes, you take away the heat and the rashes will automatically go away. So if your children are having rashes for months, my gut feeling is that they are not itch rashes. That is my default start point. They will likely not be itch rashes. Number one, all your children have it and they have been going on for months, and you are using so many dusting powder. That's already is telling you that could you be dealing with something else? Which is the reason why I don't like parents making assumptions. Oh, is every rash is itch rash? No, every rash is not itch rash. Okay, don't even make assumptions. Actually, once you think it's itch rash, okay, fine. You've done the usual thing, cool the children, let them have a bath. You've used your so-called itch rashes powder, and they are not going, then they are not heat rashes. Very, very unlikely to be heat rashes. Heat rashes will go once you don't even need to apply anything. Once the heat is gone, put on your fan, put on your AC, let them have a bath, let breeze blow the children. All the rashes will go away. That is as simple as that. So children who are having rashes for months, you have used several dusting powder. You don't need to use several dusting powder. You don't even need to use several powder. You don't even need to use any powder at all for heat rashes to go away. So normally they follow a course, they start, they resolve, and that is it. Max 1 week, 2 weeks, most itch rashes are gone. So anything that is going on for months and all their typical approach is not working, you should think there's more to these rashes than itch rashes. Okay, so please, you have to see a doctor. You have to see a doctor. You can see a general doctor. You can even see a pediatrician. You can, if you really want to go for it, you can go for the dermatologist. That is the skin specialist, so that they can tell you the cause of the itch rash. Sorry, not the itch rash, the cause of the rashes, because I don't think they are itch rashes. Okay, you have inverter, you are sleeping with fans, so your children should not be having itch rashes. So most likely there's more going on. We cannot make a diagnosis of a rash without seeing it. It's one of the things ATP people know. When people ask us questions about rashes, we have to see it. We can't even make a diagnosis of rashes without seeing it. So you can post your question on our Facebook group, because in that group you can put a picture of the rash, as long as it's not in private part of the body. It's not in the genitals. We cannot allow you to post those kind of pictures. But normal other part of the body, you can put a picture. We can give you generic advice. But if you really want to go for the diagnosis, then please see a doctor, preferably a pediatrician or dermatologist. Please don't make assumption of itch rashes in children, because there are many, many, many causes of rashes, and itch rash is not just the only cause. All right. Let's move on to Facebook. Okay, I've answered this one. Happiness is saying, what dosage can I use to warm my 2 year old when I use Zental? So Zental is albendazole. Albendazole usually comes as either 200 milligram or 400 milligram. You didn't tell me whether you're using liquid or tablets. That is important information. Okay, but the dose for a 2 year old is 400 milligram. Okay, whether you are a 2 year old or whether you're an adult, it's actually the same dose. Okay, the only people that take less is in 1 year old children. So the dose for Zental albendazole is 400 milligram. So if you are taking tablets, check whether is there are tablets that are just one tablet 400 milligrams, so you give one tablet. There are tablets that are one tablet 200 milligrams, then you give two tablets. So for the liquid, some of them come as 20 mils, and that 20 mils is the 400 milligram in 20 mils. So you give the child the whole bottle, they can finish it, and then you can now repeat it in 6 months. So the dose is 400 milligram. It can be one tablet, two tablets, it can be 20 mils, it can be 10 mils, depending on the type of formulation you buy. But you can easily work it out yourself, because I mean you remember your maths. So just see what is written on it. What did they write? Did they say 400 milligram in 20 mils or 400 milligram in 10 mils? So that will help you to know if you are using liquid. And for the tablet, they will write whether it's one tablet is 200 or one tablet is 400. So at the end of the day, just give your child 400 milligram of albendazole to deworm, and you don't need to deworm every month or every 3 months. It's every 6 months. So twice a year should be fine. Okay, John Ross, happy birthday to you. I'm 35, thumbs up. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Congratulations. You are not part of my constituency, but happy birthday to you. All right, Jonathan Magdalene, please, at what age can one start deworming the child? From age of 1 year, you can start deworming your children from the age of 1 year. So it seems like today is deworming day. All right, but you can start deworming from the age of 1 year. For your 1 year old, the dose, if you're using albendazole, which is the most common one that we normally recommend, it is 200 milligram, 200 milligram of albendazole. So it could be, if you are buying this liquid that is 400 milligram in 20 mils, then that means you're going to give 20 mils at once. It's just one dose, 1 day, and that is it. And then you can repeat it in 6 months. So then when your child is 2 years old, then you can make it 400 milligram or 20 mils if you're still using liquid. But first, yeah, some children can take tablets anyway, but if you're using liquid, that'll be 20 mils. If you are using the 400 milligram in 20 mils, which is a common preparation, but I've seen a few that has 400 milligram in 10 mils as well. So just read it or ask the pharmacist. When you go to the pharmacy shop, you can ask them, deworming drugs is an over-the-counter drug. You don't need a prescription by a doctor or a pediatrician. You can just go to the pharmacy store and they will give you deworming drugs and they will tell you the dose for the age. So you don't need to worry about that. It's not self-medication. We allow you to do that when it's an over-the-counter medication. All right, let's move on. Olayinka Femi Falola. I have a concern about my 6-year-old child. He displays very weak strength in his hands. Okay, weak. Okay, like washing dishes, sweeping, gripping, so to speak. He also stands on one foot comfortably, like putting the other leg forward when standing. I'm not sure I understand that particular one. He speaks very well. I'm very intelligent. So is this something I should be worried about, or I'm just overthinking it? Well, you are the one that can always answer that part of the question, because if you are concerned as a mother, I would say you need to see a professional, because we will never know whether you are overthinking it or not until we do an assessment. So you can see um either a physiotherapist, or you can even see an occupational therapist, because I'm not sure whether you're worried about the legs, because you didn't quite make the leg part clear, but you definitely were saying the child is weak when it comes to gripping and all that. Any weakness in the muscle or the use of the hand, what we call the motor function, we have to assess it. And if it is has to do with the hands only, that will be an occupational therapist. But if it has to do with the hands and the legs, gross muscle, that would be the physiotherapist. So both of them together. And you may actually need to see a pediatrician as well, or even a pediatric neurologist. But you can start with the therapist first. Let them assess the child. There are some tests that we can do to test the strength of the child's hands and legs and all that. And if we are worried about it, then we will let you know whether the child needs some exercises, physiotherapy, or OT, and then they can provide support. And sometimes the therapist wants to know why. So if they want to know if it's something that we need to know why, like usually when we worry about those things, we want to be sure there's nothing wrong in the brain, then we will need to see a pediatrician or a pediatric neurologist, because we are the one that will do the examination as to why. Maybe we want to do a brain scan and all that. But the therapist can at least do the initial assessment. And I think you should have the child assessed. The fact that the child has weakness in the hands does not mean the child cannot be intelligent. There are different parts of the brain. The part of the brain that controls the hand or the legs is not the part of the brain that controls your intelligence. That's why people can be in wheelchair and be very extremely intelligent. So there are different parts of the brain and the spinal cord. They all have different functions. So if you are worried about your child, especially if the teachers are also telling you that the child is not holding the pencil well, is not writing well, or is very slow in completing his writing and all that, then I will really, really recommend you get a professional input. Even if we at the end of the day will tell you there's something wrong, at least your mind will be at rest. So you won't have to worry again. So it's a good idea to get a professional input. So I hope, Olayinka, you are listening and you got that. All right. All right. I'm not sure. Marie Hagner, Felicity. Okay, welcome. Good evening, Doc. My 2 year has been coughing with hotness of the body for 3 days. I give him cough syrup and paracetamol. The temperature goes down but comes back. What can I do, please? You have to take the child to the hospital. So when children are coughing, most times we do tell parents it's a viral infection. It tends to go on their own, but we also tell you when to go to the hospital. If a child is coughing and has fever, actually high fever, you have to go to the hospital. If the child is breathing fast with fever and cough, you have to go to the hospital. It is so important for us to exclude pneumonia. It is so important for us to exclude that this child is not having a chest infection, because pneumonia, believe it or not, is still one of the childhood killer diseases, and a lot of our children die from pneumonia. And that's because most time we parents mix it, and we mix it because we tend to give the children cough syrup, and what cough syrup does is actually suppress the cough, but you are suppressing the cough. You have not treated the underlying cause of the cough. I don't know whether you were here at the beginning when I was answering the question about cough and the causes. So it's so important for us to, the most important thing when a child is coughing is not the cough syrup, it's not the paracetamol, it's not giving those things. Those are just suppressing symptoms. You are only treating the symptoms. The question is why, and that why question is so important. And I think we as parents, we should not be comfortable only with getting the symptoms to go away, which is what we all do. Oh, the child is having fever, just give paracetamol. Child is coughing, give cough syrup. You are just trying to suppress the symptoms. That is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to know why and to address the why. So if the child is coughing, having fever, I'm worried. I want to be sure the child is not having a chest infection. I want to be sure the child does not need antibiotics, which is a treatment for a chest infection, not cough syrup, not paracetamol. So that means you have to go see a doctor, and then they can take it up from there. So, Jennifer, I strongly recommend that you take this child to see one of my colleagues in the hospital. Let them examine the chest, make sure there are no signs of pneumonia. If they need to do an x ray, they will let you know. If they don't, they will let you know. At least let them treat the underlying cause of the cough. All right. Um, Shinagaram Tina, what's your take on routine drugs for kids? There is nothing like routine drugs. There's nothing routine about drugs for anyone, and definitely not for children. So my take is always very, very clear. We don't recommend drugs. Okay. I always like to make a favorite quote like all drugs are poison. All right. If you remember that, you will never want to give any drug to your child unless it's absolutely necessary. All drugs are poison. What made the difference between a poison and something that will be helpful is the dose. So there's an amount of drug you give your child, you actually can poison the child. So please don't give drugs routinely, including the so-called multivitamins. Give your child fruits, give them vegetables, because apart from what they told you, the roads, apart from what they wrote and they tell you this is multivitamin, this is vitamin C, there are several other things in that drug that you don't know, but we know, because there are things that they have to put to preserve the drug. There are things they have to put in to keep it in the syrup liquid. We call it excipients. There are certain things that the pharmacists add to those drugs, okay, to keep it in the way they are keeping it. And some of those things are actually dangerous as well. Of course, there's regulation on how much of it should be there, how much should not be there. But the best thing is actually to avoid them if you really don't need them. So you don't need to be giving your children drugs. If you want your children to have multivitamins, let them eat their vitamins, okay? That is the best way to do it. And it's all going to be natural. There will be no other additives. So let them eat their fruits, let them eat their veggies. They are going to get all the vitamins from there. And that is the best way, rather than from them eating it. So we only reserve giving drugs like multivitamins for children who, for one reason or another, cannot eat their vitamins in their food. Like the children won't eat fruits, veggies, and no matter what you do, all your tricks, they won't. Yeah, so that's the lesser of the two evils. Instead of them developing multivitamin deficiency, then you give them vitamin supplement. But if you can just give them the real food, that would be better. than giving them drugs. So my stand or my position is no drugs at all for children. Just give them healthy fruits and food, and they will get all the vitamins, everything from that food. All right. So unless there is an issue or your doctor have specifically recommended it for one reason or the other, but otherwise, average child, no issues. Let them eat the fruits, let them eat the veggies, and they'll be fine. All right. Akimisola Damilola, good evening, ma. Thanks for the other day advice. Okay. I'm not sure I can remember. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Maybe it's 3 month plus, and this maybe it's coffee. Okay, today is coffee day. All right. But this evening you try to cough it out, but it's having difficulty in coughing it out. So if your child is coughing again, is the child coughing with fever? Is the child having difficulty with breathing? Children don't cough out their sputum. They don't. There's nothing like children coughing anything out. They don't. Children actually swallow their sputum. Children don't bring it out. So, and which is actually the good thing. So we don't expect children to expectorate. And this is why we don't need to give children cough syrup that helps them to bring out sputum, because children are not going to bring out sputum. They don't expectorate. So that is why expectorant is actually not meant for children. Okay, but that is a digression. So, but because you are asking that child is trying to cough it out, they cannot cough it out. They cannot bring it out. That is normal for that age. So, but the most important thing, like I said, is why is the child coughing? So for your 3 months old, we don't want 3 months old coughing at all. Most of the time, usually they get it from, if it's most of the time it's viral, and they get it from siblings or the people coming to say hello to baby. Everybody is having their cough and catarrh and all that, and then they are coughing and sneezing, and that is where babies get it. And or their siblings that have gone to school, they come back home. That is how they get all those cough. So if the child does not have fever, the child does not have fast or difficulty with breathing, then you don't need to do anything. Please ensure you are breastfeeding your baby exclusively. I can't remember what we discussed previously, but if you're not doing exclusive breastfeeding, this is one of the reasons why you want to do exclusive breastfeeding, because exclusive breastfeeding actually protects your child from respiratory infections. Babies on exclusive breastfeeding tends not to have pneumonia, chest infection, diarrhea. They are just protected because in your breast milk you are passing what we call antibodies. Antibodies A, those are what protect the airway against infection. Lots of things in the breast milk that will protect your baby. So please make sure you are doing, for this age it is more important to protect them. Exclusive breastfeeding, keep them away from the kitchen. If you are cooking, frying, oil frying, this and that, don't take babies to the kitchen. Don't keep generator close to your room. All the fumes from your gen, no, you don't want that. And when people come around, don't let them be everybody carrying the baby. It's not good. They're always just passing the jams, even kissing babies, especially the siblings. They've gone to school with all the jams, then they want to kiss baby. These are ways baby get this infection. So you need to pay attention to the prevention more importantly. But if your child is still coughing, having fever, having fast breathing difficult, or the breathing is not just okay, you have to take the baby to the hospital, because that is when we are going to treat the child. But otherwise, if it's just cough, but the child is otherwise well, the baby is sucking well, baby does not have any fever, baby does not have any difficulty with breathing, no breathing, not breathing fast, you can just watch it. Most of them will resolve within 2 weeks, and that's fine. But like I said, if there's any of those other things, you have to take the child to the hospital. I hope that's helpful. All right. Good evening, Marie. Oniola, basic good evening. Is there any fruit a child of 6 months plus cannot eat? Okay, that's a very important question. Actually, technically, there should not be anything, but definitely in that age, we want to avoid seeded fruits. You want to avoid things that have seed in them. So it is not the fruit per se, it's the way you present it to the baby. So, for example, if you want to give a 6 month old orange, you're not going to just give them orange like you would take it, like I would take it. You most likely have to express the juice, and you have to remove all the seed. And sometimes for that age, we want you to dilute it a bit because it's a little bit acidic. So you want things like watermelon, they can take you, but you have to, you know, mostly extract the juice at that age. Okay, and of course things that are solid, like if it's banana, you have to puree it. So it is not much about the fruit, it's about the way you present it to them at that age. So I think that is more important. But definitely we want to avoid anything that is seeded, anything that the child has to, they cannot take things whole because they can choke on it. So even things like grapes, the usual grape, the small one that they used to make wine, you may have to cut it or even also again extract the juice. But by the time they're about 6 to 8 months, no, by the time they're about 8 to 9 months, sorry, then they can begin to try it on their own. Like they can hold the banana on their own and begin to munch on it, and that is better. But at the beginning, you have to for slice or cut or puree, So it's about the presentation, and then most of the other ones you have to juice them out rather than give them as a whole. Or you can actually mix them with your cereal, so you can make it as part of your cereal, you blend it together. That's the way. So it's more about the presentation rather than the fruit itself. Of course, I'm not expecting you to give a 6 month old coconut or something. I mean, we are all sensible parents, so you know what this child can handle, what this child cannot handle. But most of those soft fruits, most of the juicy ones, they can take it. And as they get older, then they can take the other ones and all that. Then remember the veggies as well. It's not everything, it's not about fruits. Vegetables, and most of those one you may have to puree them or blend them and all that to give the children and add it as part of their other food as well. But no law against anything. But also watch out if your child is allergic to anything, then you want to avoid those. Instagram people ask questions. So I can't say any question on Instagram. But let me continue with Facebook people. All right, Achinaye is what could be the cause of an embryonic pregnancy? Okay, so are you the one that said you want to ask question about pregnancy? So an embryonic pregnancy is just a big grammar to say there is no pregnancy. All right, so the pregnancy has been lost. Okay, I don't know whether I should go into all the medical jargon, but basically the pregnancy started, you have symptoms, you're pregnant, even your pregnancy test could be positive, but when we do a scan we cannot see what we call the fetal pole. There is no baby, there is no fetus. There are many reasons for why that can happen, but basically the pregnancy has been lost. Okay, there is no embryo. That's what an embryonic means. There is no embryo. That is the meaning of that jargon. It just means there is no baby, the pregnancy is gone. It is just the sign of the fact that a pregnancy happened. So usually you need to see a gynecologist because they may have to remove whatever is left if anything has not been. Eventually, the person will expel whatever products of pregnancy. But if it's not, sometimes they have to physically remove it for you. So that is what it means. It just means there was a pregnancy, but there's no baby. I don't know whether that's simple enough. And okay, you're asking about the cause. The honest truth is sometimes we don't know the cause of some of these things, but sometimes it could be that there are some abnormalities in the genetic formation, because the way the nature works, the way God works also is that if a pregnancy is not going to be good, there's a lot of malformation, there's a lot of things that were wrong in the baby being formed, then nature will, know get rid of it so that it will not, that baby will not be born, so that baby will not be born with all these multiple abnormalities and all that. So, or maybe there were some mistakes, because there's a lot of things going on when the baby is being formed. There's a lot of genes coming together, there's a lot of things, division of cells. So it's a very intrinsic, and sometimes mistakes can happen in that process. So if the mistake is too much, then the baby will just be the fetus will just be taken off or destroyed by the body itself. So sometimes this happens. Sometimes we don't just know why it happened, but most of the time, from research done on those embryos and stuff, they think it's because most of them have these incompatible with life kind of genetic abnormalities and all that. So, but I'll recommend you see a gynecologist. You may want, if that's what happened, and you may want to see them for counseling and all that as well, because it is still like a abortion or a miscarriage anyway, even though it just like it happens so very early in the beginning of that pregnancy. All right, I hope that, I don't know whether that is helpful, but if you want more clarification, feel free to ask. All right, there's a question on Instagram. Major Evans, please, can I give my 2-year-old honey? You can. You can give. We don't want children below the age of 1 year taking honey, but 2-year-old can take honey. I don't know why many parents are so fixated on this honey. And many people, I don't know, we all fixated so much on honey and all that. I'm not going to go into the adults' reasons for their honey obsession, but really, please, there's no obsession with honey for children. There's really no reason why you really want to give honey and all that. No, please, just let your children eat healthy. If you want to sweeten their food and all that, you can use honey. It's fine if the child is above the age of 1 year, but you can use other natural product like dates and all that. You can use your normal white sugar, moderate portion, but there's no, and please don't assume that because honey is supposed to be healthy, then you can just take it as much as you like. Too much of everything is also bad, including honey. So just to pay attention to that. But please, for children less than 1 year old, do not give them honey at all, because those children are prone to having what we call um, a kind of a fatal condition. We call it botulism, because in honey there is some botulinum toxin, and for children who are below 1 year, they don't have the enzyme that will break it down, that will, so those children can, that toxin can actually work on their body, can paralyze them, can affect their breathing, they can die from it. It can be very fatal. So please, children below the age of 1 year, do not give honey. I even recommend that even the mothers don't have honey in her house or eat it herself at that time before you mistakenly go and put it in baby's mouth. I know Yoruba people always like to put honey in baby's mouth during the naming. It's wrong. Please, let's not introduce things to our children that we won't be able to handle. I hope that is helpful, Major Evers. All right, let's continue on Facebook. Um Okay, Deborah is asking, my 6-year-old has a cervical lymph node. Okay, since it was for any advice, no advice. It doesn't matter. We all have lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are natural things. They are natural structures in our body. The only thing is that they can get bigger and they can become painful when there's an infection. So the presence of the lymph node is not the problem. It is what happens to the lymph node. Is it getting bigger? Is it red? Is it painful when you touch it? That is when that will tell us that is there an infection going on? Is getting too big, and there are many of them getting sticky together. It could be a sign we see in tuberculosis. We can also see them get very big in children with cancer. So the lymph node is not the problem. What is happening to the lymph node is what is important. What information is that telling us? So if the lymph node has always been there, it's not bigger, it's not red, it's not painful, it's not feeling sticky together, just leave it alone. It's a natural, is everybody has lymph nodes. It's just that you don't see it in your own, but they are all there, trust me. Okay. Anya Chinyere, my baby is 1 year and cry one pooping hard stool. Okay, your 1 year old should not be passing hard stool. Let me see whether I have a picture of the stool. Um, the stool. Yeah, stool chart. So for those on Facebook, okay, everybody should be able to see it now that everybody is on Instagram. You should be able to see this picture. So this is the stool chart. We call it Bristol stool chart. So the normal stool for babies should be the number 3 and 4. Well, number 4 actually, that's what we want. Number 4. So your baby's stool should not be 1, 2, 3. If your baby stool is separate hard lumps like type 1, or like sausage or like corn, that has all those knobs and stuff like that. That shows the child has constipation. And why is the child having constipation? You need to make sure your child is drinking a lot of water. You need to give fruits. You need to give veggies. You need to give things that have what we call fiber. Some of us we give our children only pap and milk and just cereals that we buy in the shops. All those are recipe for constipation. We don't give fruits, we don't give vegetables. Then the children's bowel will not be moving, and then you need to make sure that the children are opening their bowels as when needed. Though a 1 year old, most time they will open their bowel. So if they are not able to If they are passing hard stool, then it is mostly to do with the diet or the liquid that you're giving a child. So you need to make sure the child is drinking water, at least 1 liter. For a 1 year old, they should take 1 liter of fluids, including if they are taking milk or pap or anything. It has to, at least all together, they should also drink water. They should have not less than 1 liter in a day. And then beyond the cereals, which is what most of us give our children, we need to give them the fruits, we need to give them the veggies. You can add it to the cereals. So you're making pap, you can cut banana into it, you can, you know, blend it with your carrots. Oh no, there's so many ways you can put your baby's recipe together. Always make sure there's fruit and there's veggies, and make sure the children drink water throughout the day, and make sure that way their bowel will be opening. And if your child you is already so constipated, sometimes you have to see us so that we can give them medication to what we call a stool softener, something that will make the baby to fall pass out the hard stool. So after the child has passed out the hard stool, then we can now begin to talk about um um we can now begin to talk about the prevention, because all this I'm saying now is prevention. The water, the veggies, and making sure they open their bowels regularly. That is prevention of constipation. But if the child is already so constipated, we have to clear the bowel first. So that will require us giving either laxatives, either by mouth or suppository to for bring out the hard stool. Sometimes we even have to digitally disinfects, take out the stool. And then, but the most important thing is the prevention, to make sure it doesn't happen again. So what is the mother? Yeah, I am please, I don't know which level your child is now. If you first start with the general, make sure your child is drinking water, fruits, veggies, everything. If that is still not helpful, then see a pediatrician. We can give you something to help you clear out the one that is there already. And then after that, you have to work on making sure it does not happen again. So, but what I think your child has is constipation, and that's what you need to do. I hope that's helpful. Marie Felicite. Um, my granddaughter had an episode of epistaxis. Okay, for those who don't know, epistaxis does mean nose bleeding. Okay, that is that. Michael, what advice would you give? Some children have epistaxis. They are prone to it, especially when they're having respiratory infection, which seems to be what your granddaughter has. Actually, when they pick on their nose, when they're having all these running nose, and then they pick on it, then they bleed. The most important thing for epistaxis or nosebleeds is to know how to stop it. So most people don't know how to. I don't know whether I have a picture of that somewhere. The way we hold the nose, some people like to hold the nose and tilt the child's head backward. That is actually wrong. What you need to do is actually keep their head a little bit down a bit. But there are pictures online. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture here on where I am in StreamYard, but I do have a picture on our Facebook group that we have a ATP tips for first aid care, and you can we have what to do for first aid for nosebleeds. It's in that our small booklet. I don't have it on this laptop now, but I'm sure if you go to our Facebook group, we have a QR code that you can scan, and it will take you to our online course on first aid care, and you can download that booklet, and there's a page on nosebleeds, how to hold the nose. It shows you what is the wrong posture, and it also shows you what is the right posture. But I'm trying to see whether I have it here, but I don't think I do. I will have shown you the picture, but you just go to our Facebook group, just look for first aid, our QR code, scanning, get you to the website, download the material, and then you will know how to hold the child's nose when the child is having the bleeds. But more importantly, encourage the children not to pick on the nose and all that. Most children will outgrow it. How old is this child? You didn't tell us the age of the child, but most children tend to outgrow it by the time they're about 8, 6, 7, 8. It tends to run in some family as well. But if it is really, really bad, like the child is bleeding so much, and like every week, and it's bleeding so much, then you will have to see our ENT doctors, because there are some other tricks they can do to help. But otherwise, if it's just once in a while, when a child has a upper respiratory tract infection and it's not so bad, we will not do anything about it. It's just to stop the bleeding and hopefully that should end within a few days. But if it's really bleeding so much, some children even without doing anything, nothing, no infection, nothing, they are just pouring blood. And some I've seen children soaking the bed sheets with the nasal bleeds. Those are the ones that need to see our ENT doctors, and those are the ones that we can now uh, may have to do some surgery to kind of reduce that. But most children don't have that severe one, and we don't do anything. But the most important thing is to know what to do when a child's nose is bleeding, how to pinch the nose, and don't tilt the head backward, just a little bit forward, as if you want to sniff. We call it sniff position. You have to hold it in a sniff position and pinch the nose. That if you remember that, that's all you need to do, and that's okay. All right, I got 10 minutes left. Let me just round up with the remaining questions. I still don't have any question on Instagram, which is fine, but I can see you are listening. Jennifer is asking, my 7 month old stopped taking breast milk at 7 months. That's too early. And that means you're already doing mixed feeding. I know why that happens. He refused to suck. Okay. How old is your son now? Today does not eat eggs, veggies, fruits, beans, meat, nor fish, except barbecue fish. I've done everything, but it does not take. Um. Okay, let me finish reading. I mince the meat and cook, but once it tastes it, stop eating. Eat rice, swallow, and go to mom. I'm scared because it's not getting the nutrient. Okay, it's 2 years old now. So your child that is very fussy. That's number one. But definitely, I'm not sure when you say you've done everything. Have you seen a dietitian? Have you gotten professional help? Because that is the first place to start. Okay. And if your child is not allergic to this food, then there's no reason why the child should not eat them. But some children have what we call food aversions and all that. So you may want to see a pediatrician, because I'm not so happy with this child's. The child is eating only carbohydrates, only rice, swallow, and golden more. So that is not good. I mean, you also know that. So it's not getting adequate nutrients. It's definitely not the best. But there are certain tricks that our dietitian can teach you, and there are ways that which they can get these nutrients into your child. They can even give you some nutrients powder, maybe to add to the series that is taking and all that. So please, I don't know whether you've seen a dietitian, preferably a pediatric dietitian. If you have not seen one, you have to see one. There are some children we have what we call AFID. These children have very restricted food intake. Their own is even worse, but I don't think your child is at that level yet. What is the weight of your child? I'm also interested in that. So, but definitely you need to see a pediatrician, and then we'll take it up from there. All right, Marie is asking about blighted ovum. Yes, anembryonic pregnancy is another word for blighted ovum. It's just the same words. You are right. That's another name for it. We also call it anembryonic pregnancy. We also call it blighted ovum. Basically, there's no baby, even though there is a pregnancy. I think I know it's difficult, but that is actually what it means, really. Oluwato Ojo, my good evening. The harm points. Okay, yeah, the point where your child was immunized at birth got swollen. Okay, bring up pulse. Okay, what can I use to stop the pulse? And nothing to stop on its own. That is what we call BCG abscess. So some children kind of overreact to the BCG, and they have this swelling, and they have pulse coming out. The most important thing is that just clean the pulse as hygienically as possible. Don't press it. Don't force them out. Don't apply any antibiotics. Don't apply any cream. Don't, no, nothing. Just clean it, flush it away. Wash your hand with soap and water. As long as it's coming out, clean it, flush it away in the toilet, and wash your hand with soap and water. It will stop coming when it is done, and it will heal, and that is what will form the BCG scar. It is normal. Well, it's a variation of normal. It just means the child reacted excessively to the BCG vaccine, but it's nothing to worry about, and we don't put anything on it. Don't apply anything. Don't massage it. Just clean the pores, discard it, and wash your hand with soap and water. It will stop on its own, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay, Mariah, how do I clean my baby's tongue? Clean cloths, clean water. That's it. Just get like a nice face towel dedicated only for mouth cleaning. Put it in a clean plain water and just wipe the tongue. That's all. Don't put glycerin. Don't put what else do people put? Tomato, toothpaste. Don't. Clean cloth, clean water, end of story. That is what the dentists recommend. If you want more information, you go to our website, all these our platforms. Look for oral hygiene videos. I mean, every year Dr. Buki talks about it. That's our dentist in the house. So just go through that, and that's all you need to do. Then when your baby start having teeth, then you change to toothbrush and toothpaste that has fluoride that is age appropriate. So that is all you need to do. Can your 8 months old eat cake? No junk food, please. No junk. No junk. Cake is not food. Cake is junk. So I'm saying that if your baby eats small piece of cake, baby is going to anything will happen to the baby. No, but please let's not start teaching the children to eat junk. What is cake? It's flour, butter, and sugar. Mm-mm. Let the child eat healthy fruits. Let them eat banana. Let them bite on boiled egg. Let them eat those things rather than. So if you go to our website or on our Facebook group, you'll see the list of healthy snacks. So just Google it. I'm sure you'll say healthy snacks is what we want. This is how we start. We start teaching children to eat biscuits, eat cake, eat all these junks. Then you now come and say, pediatrician, maybe doesn't want to eat food, doesn't want to eat their fruit, they don't want to eat their veggies, but they only want to eat cake and biscuit and bread. We started it, okay? So let's not start what we will not be able to finish. Let's give our children healthy fruits, healthy snacks only. Thank you very much for your understanding. All right, at what age can you start potty training? Okay, when the child is ready, most children are ready around about 18 months. So basically, there are signs that a child is ready for potty training. The child is walking, the child is able to stand up and walk. So all these mothers that tell us they are potty training at 6 months, 8 months, that is not potty training. You are the one doing it. A potty trained child means the child knows I want to go to the toilet. I can walk to where the potty is. I can open my bowel and I can call for my mother to come and help me clean up minimum. So a child who is able to walk, a child who is able to tell you when they need to go to the toilet, okay? So that's a child who is able to pull down their trousers or their pants or whatever you put on them, and then they're able to sit on the potty. Those are the signs that your child is ready. If your child is not yet there, don't get yourself frustrated doing it, okay? Wait on some children are ready at 18 months, some children are ready at 2 years old. By three, everybody should be ready, unless the child has some additional health issues or special needs. So by three, we expect most children to be at least dry during the day, and maybe nights can follow later. We have a whole website article on potty training. I recommend you read through them for all the tips and advice as well. All right. When you're Labisi, you asked the same question twice. Okay, 18 months. All right. Mary, please, my 3 year old, I've not started making sentences. What should I do? Yes, you have to see a speech therapist. You have to see a 3 year old should be talking. A 3 year old should be speaking sentences. So if your 3 year old is not talking, please see a speech therapist. You may end up also seeing a developmental pediatrician. But because you only mentioned speech, you didn't tell me whether there are other issues with this baby. I'll recommend see a speech therapist. But if there are other issues with the child's development, you need to see the pediatrician for a full assessment. Okay, if your daughter is 5 year old, nosebleed. Okay, yeah, it's okay. It's something they will outgrow with time. Don't worry. All right. Nanny, you go quick. Good evening, dog. My baby is 9 months. He's not eating well at all. Okay, if you add milk to the pap, he will not take it. It's not compulsory to add the milk to the pap. The child can take the pap separately and take the milk separately. I mean, there's no law that they have to be together. And if you are still breastfeeding your baby, you don't need to give any additional milk. Just give breast milk. That's fine. But the child needs to eat more than pap and milk, sure. So this child has to eat other food, because all I'm hearing here is cereal, is pap, is milk. And I think sometimes we mothers, we are part of the issue, because we're only expecting the children to eat any food, a particular food, and when they don't eat that particular food, we begin to get worried. whereas the child actually wants to eat other food, which is even better. So have you tried your mashed potato? Have you tried even your rice? Have you tried yam? Have you done? There are so many recipes for children, and there is no food in your kitchen that your child cannot eat. So please don't let's get ourselves fixated on the pap and the cereals. I mean, the number of times people ask me that my child is eating every other food, but he's not taking the pap, he's not taking the cereals, and they are still worried about it. I'm like, why must the child take pap? It's not written in the constitution that the child has to take pap or the child has to take cereal when they are doing complementary feeding. It's not part of the constitution. So the child is able to eat any food. And just like all of us, children have things that they like. And some of this pap, let's not make it too watery because we want to give it in the bottle. Complementary feeding should not be given in bottles. It should be in your plate. It should be thick. It should be presentable. It should be sweet. It should have taste. Not the some people don't have anything. They don't have dates. They don't have sugar. They don't have nothing, and it's tasteless. And then they worry why the child doesn't want to take it. So you have to go through all these things. And please try other food. Don't get yourself fixated on pap and cereals and milk only. There are several things your child can eat. So if you go to our Facebook group, if you go to the guide section, we have the infant feeding guide 2 on infant feeding. We have about 4 or 5 videos that you can watch, what you give, how you give it, how often you give it, all the different classes of food. How do you mix them together? There are so many things that you can try. There are so many nutritionists for children online. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and they have all these lovely recipe for children that you can try. So some children love this potato with butter, and you can mince your meat or just add your fish. Even this your ewedu with amala, very lovely. Most children will swallow it because it draws, and it could be okra. There are many ways to get things into the children. So, but don't be fixated on this particular cereal and milk. You have to try variety, and you'll be surprised what your child loves. Some children love the plantain, boiled it, fry it, whatever. Some children just love that, and they will, eat a whole bowl of it. That is more boiled egg, all those things. So try everything, try one thing after the other, but don't get yourself stuck on only one particular product. Try variety. But if you want more information, go to our Facebook group and you'll get those information there on our guide section. We have a whole guide on complementary feeding. And I think I've talked more about complementary feeding more than anything on videos because that's the most frequently asked question. My child is not eating. That's pediatricians' bread and butter question. We answer it every day. All right. Last question because my time is up. I've got to go now. Oh, there's one question on Instagram. Okay, I'll take the question on Instagram, then I will also take the one on Facebook and then we'll go. How many times does a child of 6 months that just start complementary feeding poo in a day? It doesn't matter. I've already answered that question. You're like, were you the one that asked that question first? Okay, you're not the one. The number of time children poo is irrelevant because different children have different bowel motion. Okay, some children will poo once a day, some children may not poo every day. It doesn't really matter. What matters to us is the texture of that stool. We don't want it hard and we don't want it watery. As long as any stool your child is passing is normal texture, which is I will show the picture again before I go, which is number 4 on this stool chart. As long as your child is passing stools that are normal, we don't care how many times. That is the most important thing is that the stools are normal, and we want it to be like type 4, like a sausage, smooth and soft. That is what we want. We don't want it hard. That is constipation. We don't want it watery, like liquid completely. That is diarrhea. We want it soft. Type 4, 5 are fine, okay? So as long as your child is passing normal stool, whether you pass it 3 times, 100 times, it doesn't really matter. So the most important thing is that the child is passing normal stool. So you don't need to worry. All right. I'm also say my son loves swallow, especially amala. We do okra. It does. So what is the problem? Give the child what the child likes now. Just make sure you are adding things like so. The child is eating amala. We do that is already carbohydrates and vegetables. So just add fish, meat, crayfish, add other things, add a little palm oil. This is a complete balanced diet. So don't be fixated on one thing. Just keep trying different things. All right. Thank you, everybody. Everybody saying thank you, Doc. The refined nurse on Instagram. What can one do for a child who keeps having skin rashes that doesn't go? Oh, the child needs to see a dermatologist. Yeah, the child has to see a dermatologist. So there are. I know people always, mothers always have a lot of faith in the pediatrician. You want us to fix everything. However, there are certain things we cannot fix, okay? And there are certain skin conditions that we cannot cure. Okay, I know it's hard because everybody will always say, just give me what I can apply and it will go permanently, it will never come back. The truth of the matter is, which is I always like to have conversation with parents first when I'm saying my parents, we need to have a realistic expectation. So there are certain skin condition the child is going to have it for life. It's part of them. It's a genetic thing. That is their skin. We can manage. So there are conditions we manage. We don't cure. So if a child is having recurrent skin rashes, that child has to be a friend of the dermatologist. So number one, they will make the correct diagnosis, and they will tell you what you can do to avoid, to prevent. And some of them, no matter what we do, they will still have those rashes. So we will teach you what to do when they happen to quickly bring it under control. But sometimes we cannot cure everything. Some things we just have to live with it. Know that and no peace. Okay. Because I see mothers, they will worry their head. They will see all the dermatologists in the world. They will see all the pediatricians in the state. They will see everybody. And the thing doesn't go. Don't waste your money. Don't keep chopping around for doctors just for have that understanding. So once some parent gets to that understanding, this is my child's skin. These rashes are always going to keep coming and going. I can manage it, but I cannot take it away completely. That is the end. You will have peace. You will stop chasing everybody, but at least you should have a dermatologist who sees the child regularly. Of course, if it's something we can cure and treat, we'll let you know. But there are some things we cannot always cure. So you just have to accept it. So the refined nurse, um you have to say dermatologist. Yes, let the child say dermatologist, get a diagnosis. Children who have what we call atopic dermatitis and all those kind of conditions, it will keep coming and going for a long time. Good news, some children actually outgrow them. By the time they're about 5 or 6, everything will just disappear. But some people, even as adults, they will always have that sensitive skin, and they just have to be very careful what they allow and all that. So um why are you, Amuson? I don't know what is your question. I already told you, stick with what your child likes. Your child does not like to have everything. If your child likes a wedu and okra, stick with the wedu and okra. Why must you do a foriro? There's no law that the child has to take everything in your cook recipe or whatever. So just stick with what the child likes. Don't get yourself headaches. Don't worry yourself. That's fine. All right, final question. Chidima, my baby 7 months old is weighing 5.7. What was the birth weight? You didn't tell us the birth weight. The birth weight is important, but an average 7 months old should be weighing at least 8 kg. So I would definitely be worried. Unless your baby was born preterm, very small at the beginning, but you didn't tell us that, so it's difficult to say. But please, you may want to see one of my colleagues. We want a 7 months old weighing closer to 8 kilos rather than that. You didn't tell us the birth weight. Okay, I thought you were the one. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Thank you so much. If you still have questions, my time is gone. I've got to go. Please go to Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. You can see my background. You can see all the names. So just go to our group and you can post your questions there. Mondays to Saturdays, we will be there to answer your questions. If your child has an emergency, please go to the hospital and see us there. So, and we'll be there as well to support your children. So on Thursday we'll have a teaching section. Thursday 10 a.m. Every Thursday 10 a.m. we do a teaching on a particular topic. Last week I talked about bronchial asthma, so watch out for what I'm going to be talking about this Thursday, and it will be a teaching session for 1 hour. And if you have any questions, you can always ask on our Facebook group. You can watch this episode and all the past episodes on this same platform where you're watching right now. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. We're everywhere. Follow us to learn more about health of your children. Please follow us on YouTube as well. And our website is also available. We also have a podcast. So these are all the platforms we created simply to support, to come alongside moms and support you, moms, dads, everybody working with children. We want to really support you to raise healthy children. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Amuso, for your feedback. I didn't know this is your first time. Welcome. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you again next week, Monday, God willing. Till then, keep keeping our children healthy. Bye. Bye bye. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you.